Warning, this is a review slash editorial on Deadman Wonderland. Be aware, this anime is very mature in nature and subject matter. No audio video clips from the series are being used in the making of this video. One, because they would be too violent to show, and two, because they belong to Viz Media and Funimation. So, so please, if you are under the age of 18, viewer discretion is indeed advised here. Deadman Wonderland, today's anime month subject, is quite an interesting one. To do a straight review of it would not do it justice, so instead, I'm going to put my own analytical headcanon and my own personal thoughts on the concept of Deadman Wonderland. See, the concept of Deadman Wonderland is this. It's essentially not only a super jail, but an amusement park of sorts, in which the sailmates entertain us, the normal folk, in entertaining yet very bloody and gladiatorial combat. The survivors get quote unquote candy to survive another 3 days from being automatically executed through special kinds of collars. And the worst and the worst and the most deadly of the convicts are known as dead men. Ganta being, of course, one of them, known as Woodpecker because of his lack of size and strength. But of course, as you all know, Ganta is a falsely accused and unwitting dead man, forced to fight for his own life and fight for survival, while meanwhile discovering the deep dark secrets in which Deadman Wonderland holds. The anime as a whole is probably one of the most gory, bloody, and unapologetic animes that I have ever seen. From its curse language to sexual innuendos, the psychopathic maniacs, each with their own personalities and reason to go psycho. From the dark first 5 minutes, seeing an entire class of middle school students slaughtered in a blink of an eye, to even having a scene in which a character's eye is removed. This series pulls no punches in its storytelling, even though it's 13 episodes short. And trust me, not even the final episode of Deadman Wonderland made its airing when it was done on its original Toonami run, strangely, and it didn't even do that well in Japan. It's done more successful here in America due to our brutish need for over-the-top violence. But then again, that opens up the question. Would a prison like Deadman Wonderland actually be good in the modern day justice system? Well, this is just my opinion after all, but I would say yes. Most convicts on death row have been on death row for many, many years, waiting for their sentence to be carried out. Months, years, sometimes days, but the worst of the worst convicts are usually mixed in with the normal, ordinary folks that have committed misdemeanors. Jail overloads are at an all-time high in the United States especially. especially in many a state, including my own, have suffered from bouts of overcrowding in the jails. And the normal work release schedule is only for a few chosen convicts. Deadman Wonderland's ideal of everybody works to survive 3 days, living amply well through cast points and other things might seem a bit extreme, and yes, indeed, it is. But think about it. Most people that live in prisons nowadays live in prisons having more luxuries and a better lifestyle than most people on the outsides of the bars. From full-on gyms, the outside playgrounds, the access to readable reading, TV with cable, and they still get 3 square meals a day, even if they're a multi-time convicted felon with no hope for parole or a chance to end a normal life. Under the Deadman Wonderland scheme of things, though, the weakest of the weak would be, well, essentially have their sentence carried out, executed, killed. This would cause prisons to have less overcrowding, and because of the nature of death could come at any second, prisoners wouldn't feel like it would be a luxury to live in a jail. In other words, jail would be just that, a jail. And the people that would be falsely put there would try everything to get out and not return. Jail is supposed to be a deterrent from crime, but under the modern justice system of today, it's not really a deterrent. It's more of a comfort blanket. See, most people that commit minor crimes, spend some jail time, and then end up committing crimes again aren't really committing crimes because they like to commit crime. They like the comfort, safety, and protection that comes from being incarcerated and in jail. Under Deadman Wonderland system, however, it would be a dog eat dog, kill or be killed notion. Yeah, there would be no characters like Shingo running around, or superpowers using blood, or any of the dark conspiracy with the headmasters of Deadman and his over-eccentric son who's trying to take control of the prison for his own amusement. However, but then again, there are gangs in actual prisons that have more control over the things that are going on in prison, more than even the people in charge do. Deadman Wonderland might be an over-the-top anime overexpression of all these core concepts, but it does it in an interesting way to make people think about it. Although the anime as itself, seeing that this is partly a review, suffers somewhat from poor writing in the back end and the fact that it pretty much leaves unconcluded with no real questions truly answered about what's really going on, and Ganta as a main character can be annoying and unconnectable at times, but largely this anime speaks about not only how prisons are hell, but how prisons are nothing more than an amalgamation of a person's own personal hell, having to live even with falsely accused. The thought that you may have done something you shouldn't have, and the fragileness of life and death, and how a lack of good parenting, lack of direction can lead who seems like on the surface to be a perfectly normal, perfectly understandable member of society into a life of psychosis and a life of crime and find pleasure in the darkness. But this also tells a societal lesson of how as long as it's for our entertainment, we don't care if even the lowest of the low ultimately get what's coming to them, as long as we feel that justice has been served or we've been entertained in some way. Some of the competitions put on display in Deadman Wonderland are watched by the millions, almost like a pay-per-view UFC fight or a WWE event. And however, people love these events. Not, and they and and Deadman Wonderland's greatest writing concept is in the concept of being empathetic. The people that are watching Deadman Wonderland events in the anime are empathetic people. They don't care emotionally about who wins, who loses, or whether they were convicts or murderers. They just love the entertainment, love the show, almost like a big circus act, with the prisoners playing performer in a demented circus where even though there are blood and guts hitting the floor, at least people were left wanting more and applauding as people that have done despicable things ultimately get what they deserve. It really shows that our society has a hidden undertone of empathy for those that have committed wrongs. We are quick to judge without looking at the facts. We are quick to throw people like the characters in Deadman Wonderland away from society and find quick ways of fixing them. And our modern day viewpoints of rehabilitation don't don't usually work, and they end up back where they were before. It's a sad and bittersweet tale that Deadman Wonderland weaves about the thin line between guilt and innocence, and how that line can almost be erased like chalk on a chalkboard in some societies being quick to say once a criminal, always a criminal, and the emotional pain of almost being thrown away from society itself with no chance to escape to the light. However gorish it may be, Deadman Wonderland on an analytical standpoint can be really, really interesting. It's not the best of animes. Some of the action scenes are way too short and some of the characters are easy one notes. But then again, Deadman Wonderland is not so much about the people within the prison as much as it is the reason for the prison's existence in the first place. After all, jail should be hell. But what happens when hell is whether inside or outside any of the walls? Seeing that society can create just as much psychological damage as a jail can. Maybe, in the end, Deadman Wonderland is saying this: that for some odd reason, being trapped in your own prison, away from things that may harm you, might actually be the safest place in the world. And that's very telling. Deadman Wonderland, for me, gets a 6 out of 10 because of its incomplete nature in terms of its storytelling, lack of real action scenes, lack of action scenes in the first half, and a protagonist that doesn't really connect like the other characters do, and especially in the early going, and over reliance on gore. Deadman Wonderland might be a quick Hulu super watch for you. Which, by the way, if you are gonna watch it on Hulu Plus, understand that the first 3 episodes are the only ones dubbed in English. You can buy the DVD Blu-rays at any normal store right now. But be forewarned, this anime is not for kids. It is very mature, has language, subject matter, and even actions that might offend you, and is among one of the bloodiest and most unapologetic series in modern times. So be forewarned if you want to take the trip to the most demented prison on earth. It's just too bad that we'll never see the idea and the psychosis behind it truly realized. Find peace in your own nirvana. Hopefully, especially after this one. Thanks for watching. Now, I've got a question for you during the end card. Do you think an idea like Deadman Wonderland would work for actual prison? And whether Deadman Wonderland as an anime should be continued forward? Leave your comments down at the bottom of the screen and make sure to check out the other Anime Month playlist in our main channel playlist. And stay tuned for more Codeequestria goodness, and make sure if you really like it to hit the subscribe button.